This tutorial is a walkthrough of how the modules for this course are set up on Canvas. So at the top we have the Start Here Welcome module, which is set up to be a prerequisite for the actual content in the course. So once you first log on to Canvas, you'll be able to see everything that's in this Start Here module. So our syllabus and schedule, a little bit of information about me, a course logistics quiz for you to take to make sure you understand the general structure of our course because things are so different this semester in a fully virtual format. Our course toolbox, which contains resources for you. So again, my contact info, tutorials, including this one about how to navigate Canvas, and also resources just for you as a student in general, related to a variety of things. Food insecurity, mental health and wellness, so that information is there for you as well. So if we keep scrolling down in Canvas now, generally what we'll have is one module for each lecture. So normally in person we would have one lecture on Tuesday, one lecture on Thursday. So this module I'm showing right here, the course introduction, is the equivalent of our Tuesday lecture. So within this module, you have a module overview page, which will give you a video overview, introduction to that particular module, a brief description of the module, some learning outcomes, so things that you will be able to do after completing that particular module, and then what assignments are due for that module along with the due date. So that is the overview page for the module, and then there are additional pages that contain the content for that module. The introduction module is a little bit different because we haven't really started with content yet, we're just introducing the course. But in general, on each of those content pages, you will have a video that's embedded for you to watch. I'll always tell you how long the video is, just so you have a heads up, and it will tell you what to do at the bottom of the page. So should you watch the next video or complete an associated quiz or that kind of thing. So the bottom of the page will always tell you what to do next. If you look now at the middle portion of this module, here are the assignments for that particular module. So I know that kind of looks like a lot, especially for the very beginning of class, but really these are things that we would be doing just kind of automatically in a face-to-face format, but now I have to make it a Canvas assignment. So attending our first course intro meet and greet, you just have to show up. Student survey, which we'd always do in the first day of class, and then some additional assignments for you. If you scroll down to the bottom part of the module, here we have a module reflection and wrap-up. So for each module, I'm going to ask you to complete an anonymous survey. I'm calling them Kaizen Surveys. So Kaizen is a Japanese term that means continuous improvement. So essentially I'm asking for your feedback about what you think was good with that module or what you think can be improved, so I can adjust as needed for future modules in the course. The end of each module will also have a discussion board where you can indicate what things you are still confused about. So again, this is a way for you to give feedback, for me to get a sense of what you have a good grasp on in the course, and also, especially if there are a lot of students that have the same question, what I still need to clarify or what additional information I need to give. And the very last page here is just an assignments checklist. So just a check for you to make sure at the end of the module that you've actually done all of the assignments associated with that module. So that is the lecture module for Tuesday for week 1. There will be a separate module for the lab for each week. So the general structure is similar. We have a lab overview page that gives you an introduction, a description, module outcomes, and then the assignments. Generally for lab, the assignment is just going to be one lab report. Also contained within that module, so after the overview page, there's a lab instructions and video tutorials page. So here I'm trying to give you multiple means of explanation or accessing the same information, because I know some people prefer to read or some people prefer to watch someone else doing it. So I will give you for each week's lab both written directions, which I've included here, and then some video tutorials as well to help you work through the different parts of that lab exercise. So I would recommend downloading the written instructions first. As you're reading through, I'll indicate, hey, you can go watch the tutorial now that's related to this content. So this is really your main point of reference, and then you can watch the tutorials as needed as you're going through those written directions. For the lab weeks, I will also have a lab resources page that contains any additional data files, for instance, that you'll need in order to do that week's lab, in addition to the written instructions. Then at the bottom, there is your assignment, the week 1 lab report, and the very end, your module reflection and wrap up. So again, I want to know on that muddiest point discussion board, any questions that you still have, things that you're still confused about. So those 2 modules are basically just for the Tuesday equivalent of our course, right? So the Tuesday lecture and the Tuesday lab. So we're still in week 1 now. We still also have a Thursday lecture, right? And for many weeks, what I will have is I'll have some of those lectures actually broken up into 2 modules. One of them will be a mini module that's a prerequisite for accessing the main module for that content. And the reason why I'm doing that is just to help guide you in terms of how you're completing the material to make sure that you're staying on track to succeed. So oftentimes in these prerequisite modules, what I'll have is something like a pre-quiz that is a very simple vocabulary just to make sure you understand the definition of terms. If you understand the definition of terms, that will mean you'll understand the actual content contained within that module better. So that's just a way for me to make sure that you have a general understanding before you really dive into the content. Sometimes we'll also have what did we talk about last week modules or last modules. I often do something in person where I, at the very beginning of class, ask you to think about what we did the last class. And that's a way for you to refresh your memory before you really dive into the new things we're learning, to make sure you can make connections and it'll help you understand things better. So I'm using these prerequisite modules as a way to replicate that in an online environment. So once you've completed that prerequisite module, then you can have access to the main Thursday lecture module. This module is the first one where we really start to get into molecular ecology content. The very first module was more of an introduction. This Thursday lecture is more content focused. So what you'll see is the general module structure will be the same. You'll still have that overview page. The content will be broken up into different parts, so you can helps you plan. That's my intent, at least, is if you know that there are these different pages, you can break up different times or different days of the week for you to work through those different parts. So for a content page, in general, what you'll see is a description, what's contained on that page. Generally, it'll be 1 video. I'll tell you how long it is. And I will give you resources you might need, so PowerPoint slides that were used in that video, notes template that you can use to take notes as you're watching the video, and then with each video there will generally be an associated quiz. So that quiz will be linked either at the bottom of the page, or if you click the next button, that'll also take you to that quiz that you should complete after you watch that video. So I have it set up this way because the intent is for you to test your knowledge that you just learned through watching that video to really help you apply the information. So that's how I'll have it set up, is that you'll have a content page and then a quiz linked directly after watching that video to help you apply that content. And then same thing at the end, you'll have module reflection and wrap up. that Kaizen and muddiest point. So that's a general overview of the Canvas page. Again, the main thing I want to make clear is that there are multiple modules that you'll need to complete for each week. So again, there's, in general, one module for each lecture, a separate module for lab. So really, you'll need to be doing 3 to 4 modules each week. Again, I know that might sound like a lot, but if we think back again to that course credit, really you should be spending about 10 to 13 hours a week on BIO178 material. So that all falls into that time frame of work for you. And the due dates that I have listed are really to help you plan out when you should be doing these different things. So for that first Tuesday lecture module, the due date that I have listed is before Thursday. So the idea is I'm helping guide you to complete that first module, so the lecture and the lab, you're completing that before Thursday, before you start this new module of content. I am providing flexibility though, again, because we are in these pandemic circumstances. So I have a due date listed here, but I also have a note that to allow maximum flexibility, I'm accepting the assignment until this date. So the due date that's listed on Canvas is to help you stay on track so you're not having to cram everything in at the last minute at the end of the week. But I do recognize that we're in extenuating circumstances. Many of you may have challenges that are affecting your ability to get coursework done right now. So I will allow you to turn in the assignment until this date with no penalty, late penalty whatsoever. So that's also an important thing to note. So that's generally what our Canvas page looks like. Of course, if you have any questions about where to find things or how you should be navigating this, please reach out and I will be happy to answer any of your questions.